Yggdrago the Sky Emperor is the premier boss of the new box, and this deck is looking pretty good. There are two Yggdrago skills. The first one, Beyond Curiosity, is an Yggdrago turbo skill, but I prefer Maximum Ragnarok. This allows you to take advantage of all the other high-level Cyberse monsters. By getting rid of a card, you can turn 2 of your monsters into double tribute fodder, you can debuff 2 of your opponent's monsters by 800, or you can mix and match. And the only requirement is that you're locked into Cyberse monsters, which we were already going to do anyway. So, deck list. Of course we need the 9 pieces of Yggdrago. Keep in mind that the skill is able to put some of these back on top of the deck to enable the double tribute, meaning if you draw extra copies of the left or right side, you actually don't need to tribute them off. You can keep them safely on the top of your deck. And the secondary boss monster of choice is going to be Attribute Hydron. Once you have 3 monsters in the graveyard, you can buff this by 100 for every monster in your grave. And it can even draw you a card late in the game. It's worth noting that Attribute Hydron is even able to out Yggdrago. This monster has 4,000 attack. With Maximum Ragnarok, it'll go down to 3,200. And then, if Hydron has reached its draw 1 condition, it will gain 800 attack, putting it at 33. A clean out that even draws you an extra card. Then, for 1 extra high-level monster, just so we have something else to do, I have included Sigurd. This card is able to inflict a minor amount of damage. It isn't a lot, and it doesn't even always come up. However, having a 2500 body can be useful, so I've gone for this one. I have seen a lot of people running Sunglasses instead, as it's able to provide a debuff of up to 900, and then get over just about anything. However, the reason I am not on this, and I am instead running Sigurd, is that I don't want to actually shuffle away these monsters. Attribute Hydron is gaining attack for them, and by getting a bunch of cards in the graveyard, we are making it more likely to find Yggdrago. For similar reasons, I am not running the new spell card, Talismanic Seal Array, which sees play in a ton of decks. Some people are concerned that with Yggdrago's effect, requiring you to send 3 cards to the graveyard, you're going to deck out. I've only had it happen once or twice, and it happens to every deck now and then. Other than that, we are running 3 Femtron and 3 Attron for a little bit of extra draw power. Not that there are really that many other options in the Cyberse type. I have a very lean spell and trap lineup to avoid bricking. Monster Reincarnation is the choice for any maximum deck. You need to be getting those pieces into your hand, and this is how you do it. And then, of course, Widespread Ruin is great against anything that is not a maximum monster. It is the saving grace of the Royal Rebel matchup. And finally, I have 2 copies of Music Princess's Recital. If you bring out Yggdrago, it usually is going to take 2 turns to win the game. And you need Yggdrago to survive. And that is where Music Princess's Recital comes in. If they boost up their 7-Sword Magician, or their Trigger Drago, etc., it is still a level 8 or lower monster. So your Yggdrago is safe. And then on the next turn, you can destroy it with the effect and swing in for game. Let's get to some replays. First up, we have an Yggdrago mirror match. My opponent is on the Beyond Curiosity skill, whereas I am using the Ragnarok. They start off with a copy of Sunglasses and 1 face down card. It's my move, and I'm going to use my skill to bring out my Prismatic Sigurd State Soul, while also debuffing the opponent's monster, down to 1500. Unfortunately, my opponent does have the Widespread Ruin, but I know that the Beyond Curiosity deck is not going to be posing huge tempo swings, so I crash the Connector Dog and get in for 1,000 damage. My opponent summons a Zetron and uses it to filter through the deck. However, they're ending on a Peacock Picotron and dealing just 600 damage. It's our turn, and we already know the Widespread Ruin is gone, so we are not super concerned about the back row. We use our skill and bring in Attribute Hydron, who's able to boost itself up to over 3,000, I think. 3,100, and we swing in, dealing 700 with Dark Femtron before bringing Goblin Boy all the way down to just 1200 life. My opponent draws return, and they're going to have to find Yggdrago if they want to keep this up. They use Tribute to the Doomed to destroy my Hydron, but they're ending on a lone monster again, and that means it is time for me to bring in 2 more copies of Shoot Hydron and finish the game. Ragnarok lowers the attack of 2 of my monsters, allowing me to do a double 2 tribute summon. Shoot Hydron comes in, and we now have enough cards in the graveyard to draw when we use the effect. We destroy the monster, and that is game. So we are going first, and we have 2 pieces of Yggdrago. So we send one back on top of the deck and use Shoot Hydron as a 2500 wall. We do have a Music Princess Recital to protect us from an opposing monster. However, as a Roa, if they summon a heavy metal, we are in danger. Fortunately, they don't seem to get it, and we continue to set our back row with Widespread Ruin before bringing in a Sigurd State Soul. We could not use the effect to burn the opponent. They hit us with the Widespread Ruin, but we clear through 2 Royal Rebels, and we pass over to Roa. Ultimate G draws return, and now that we have an Atron, I'm not as worried about Royal Rebels' heavy metal, especially with the Widespread Ruin. Unfortunately, it is Invasion, so they are going to clear my board. They summon out a Cobalt, and I actually choose not to use Widespread Ruin here, saving it for later. We draw for turn, and find 2 copies of the head of Yggdrago. We tribute off for one of them in order to clear out the invasion. Then we bring in Dark Femtron and Connector Dog for a little bit more damage. They activate Talismanic Seal Array in order to out my maximum monster. It goes all the way down from 2000 to 0. Even when it isn't in maximum mode, it is indeed a level 10 monster. Shadowbuyer becomes level 7, enabling the Royal Rebel Growl, and this will further debuff one of my monsters. They set another monster, but with only a lone Growl, I activate my Widespread Ruin, and that is going to be game. I already have 3 monsters on board, but just to be safe, I summon even more. Dark Femtron and a Sigurd State Soul before swinging in. They activate Barrier to delay the inevitable, but it is not enough. Yggdrago takes a game against potentially its worst matchup. We are up first in another Nail Mirror. We set 4 cards face down and pass. No reason to summon the Sigurd State Soul, as Maximum Ragnarok is going to make it incredibly easy to out. They bring in a Hydron, but they aren't currently able to use the effect. And then they reveal they are actually on Set Quantum Hole, thinning the deck by 1 card and helping them find the maximum monster. It's our move, and we draw all 3 pieces of Yggdrago. We don't need Quantum Hole, we don't need Atron combos, we will simply draw the maximum. Activating the effect allows us to destroy Hydron for free, and then we swing in for 4,000 damage. We even have a Music Princess's Recital to protect ourselves from any errant Hydrons, but we're not getting out of it that easy. The opponent brings in their own Yggdrago. They pass turn. However, this is where my skill comes into play. Maximum Ragnarok lowers the opponent by 800, and we win. The Yggdrago versus Yggdrago showdown. My opponent is on Roman, and they start off by summoning a Stormbolt Destroyer, revealing themselves to be on the Psychic deck rather than to be on Thunders rather than Psychics. We don't have anything interesting to do here, so we just set 4 and pass. My opponent fills out their board, but they aren't able to use any piercing effects, even if they do a Yggdrago, because we keep 1 Yggdrago in our hand. It comes over to us, and we draw 2 copies of the right piece of Yggzodia. However, Atron draws us into the final maximum piece, and we summon Yggdrago, the Sky Emperor. A card pretty hard to out for the Thunder deck. You need to draw not only Trigger Drago, but also a card like Blast Jaws or Thunder the Thunder to get the last push you need. They activate Widespread Ruin, but it is not enough. They take 3,300. Yanchara draws return, flips up Talismanic Seal Array, a card that will decrease my attack points by 2,000, making it much easier to out. However, they don't have any high-level monsters in their hand, so they surrender.